And welcome to Live Spirit and Coffee. Cheers to you. Salud. Yeah, coffee is perfecto this morning. Very good. Yum. All right, let's get started. So again, wake up to some more this world. I tell you. Good morning, Adam. How are you? Hope all is well. Sports and wellness is open, in case you're wondering and you're wanting to get back. I personally am not working there at the time, but if you want to go back working out, please do so. I've been going. It's kind of weird. It's Twilight Zone-ish there. But then I went to Planet Fitness as well, and that was actually a little better. Quite weird, as you might think that it would be different. Anywho, so I want to get started. As you know, yesterday, I talked about the campaign and the protesting and everything that's going on. Black Lives Matters, um, Black Lives Matter. And I literally went on the website on my personal page and did a live video to read what the campaign's about. And I always say, educate yourself about something. If you don't know what's going on, rather than just listen to what everybody says, just go to the source, right? Because I personally was unaware of the campaign. Um, Again, I don't follow politics. I don't listen to the news. I don't understand what's going on in pop culture ever. I'm disconnected from all that type of stuff. And sometimes I'm in my own little bubble, reading my books, going to the gym, eating healthy, and not paying attention to anything else. But because this is a phenomena that's happening, it's a world paradigm, a shift, revolution. Things are starting to open up again. We're starting to relook at the sort of traumas and the pain and the suffering that's been caused and has not gone away, because we thought it went away and it didn't go away. And so we're re-looking at these things, and it's amazing to me that are shocking, I should say, to me, that still these men of color, and I'm talking about all men of color, right? Like, not just black men, but also Native American men, Latino men, men of color, tend to be sort of singled out by law enforcement, by police brutality, things that I could never comprehend, but I've seen it firsthand because I'm Latina and I was raised around a bunch of Latin men, and I've seen cops be brutal and do things that are questionable and probably just sort of not even what I would call correct or right. Um, and the ill treatment pressed upon these men, which has caused some historical damage and trauma and hurt and pain, suffering in ways that are now manifesting out into the world on a global scale. And it's the chains of suffering that we're seeing. People are saying, please just free us from the bondage of this horrific treatment that we receive. And I was talking at, our dinner table, we talk about these things. And as I said before, it's going to take individuals that have white privilege, that are lighter in skin, to realize and recognize that that does exist. People don't really know what that means, right? White privilege, they don't understand. They think, oh, well, I've been, people have treated me ill. Yeah, I've been, as a Latina woman, again, I've been treated or mistreated. I was raised, in the hood, as they call it. um but you hear me talk, you see me, and you would think, oh no, there's no way this girl was, but I was. And as a woman of color, yeah, I've been exploited. I've been treated ill. I've been called names. I've been whatever. but I've never experienced what I think or what I see, not I think, what I know to be true. I've never had the perspective from a male of color. So that is a whole other ballpark, right? The experience that these individuals go through, their perspective, the way that they see life, the way that they engage life is extremely different from the way that I experience life. And for me to say that I can have compassion and I can have empathy, but I can't really understand. I can't say I understand it because I do not, and I will never. Okay. And that's where the ignorance is coming from. When people are saying when you're saying these things, and I just want to talk about it. When people say, well, all lives matter, yeah, they do. But when people call you ignorant for not knowing what you're talking about, it's not that they're being cruel. They're saying you don't understand. It's not about this life and that life doesn't matter, right? What they're saying is you'll never understand, and until you accept that if your skin color is lighter, that you have white privilege. Now, all lives or Black Lives Matter does talk about people of color, not just Black lives, but men of color. When we talk about men of color, we're talking about individuals who are darker in skin, and there is an issue around it. There is. I've seen firsthand. I mean, let's just look at it, right? You know me, I always talk about movies, but for some reason, and when I heard the title of this movie, I was appalled actually by the title. I couldn't even believe that people weren't outraged with the title of this movie. And it's on Netflix right now. And it's called The Help. And it just, to me, it was like the name to me triggered me in some way, right? It triggered me in a way that was like, what? And then I'm watching this movie, right? And I'm trying to look at it. And it's like the treatment of people of color, right? And the ill treatment, it's just, I mean, it's disgusting, right? It's disgusting. It's not just like, oh, and any harsh treatment is disgusting, don't get me wrong, but to the point of like we're going to murder you, we're going to kill you based on your color. And so we were talking at our kitchen table about it, and I love that our family does this and communicates. And my stepdad looks like a white man. Okay, he looks like a white. He's not. He's Mexican and he speaks fluent Spanish. But I told him, he's like, well, everybody matters. And I said, yeah, but you got to understand that there's some privilege that comes with you and how you look. It just does. And when we can start to say, oh, yeah, it's not a bad thing, right? It's not right, wrong, good, or bad. It's just to be able to recognize it and to be able to say, "Okay, I yes, this exists." As a young, girl, that was really light in skin, never did I think I was gonna be beat up by cops, but imagine a little black boy, um, afraid of his life, afraid for his life, and his mom telling him every day, "Be careful. Don't get in trouble. Don't do anything to get the attention of the cops." Whereas me as a little girl, um, that's light in skin color is like, if anything happens to you, make sure that you tell the cops or make sure you so they're avoiding them, right? Because they're afraid that they're gonna get beat up or harmed or arrested by them. But that's the whole point, right? And it's saying that we can understand our differences and be okay with it. I can't change the fact that I was born with light skin, but I can recognize that society does place a different judgment or sees me through a different lens and perspective. Just knowing that, just being able to open up your heart to understand that is what's important. And so when I was talking to my stepdad about it, and I told him, you're white, people think you're white, and tell me you're not treated different. And he said, yeah, it's true. I know. He's like, but when I talk, I get, and I said, yes, but you're never going to fear for your life. You're never going to understand that. And he agreed and he understood. And they're like, okay, we get it. So it's just people understanding this. So I pray for our men of color. I send prayers and love and light and healing, and hopefully this sickness of what we call racism um gets healed, and that people can recognize and identify that it might exist within them. And that's it, because that's what life's about, right? It's about being able to come to the awareness, being able to be aware. And when really, if we look at it, we're here to have an experience, to see life through an experience and engage in that experience, not to deny the experience that we're having. Most people don't want to look at it. They want to pretend that it doesn't exist. Or they'll just go on with their life and say, whatever, it does not affected me. But it is affecting you. And it's affecting you because every single thing that happens has an impact and a ripple effect, right? A drop in the ocean, it like waves out and it impacts the very fabric of our life. So to deny that it exists is also acceptance that it exists in some ways. But not doing something about it and understanding how you're participating in it is if you don't understand how you're participating and you're really saying the problem is okay. I don't care. It's their problem and it's not. It becomes your problem too. So, how do I participate? How do I engage? How do I understand the information that's being presented to me? How do I process that for myself? How do I look deeper and say, is this impacting me? And how can I stand for humanity? It's called altruism. It's called being able to be aware of how you fit into the puzzle, because everybody fits into this puzzle some way. If the consciousness didn't want us to look at this, if the consciousness wasn't asking us to look at this, it wouldn't be happening. But it is. Why? Ask yourself why. Why on a global scale is this happening? It's not even just America anymore. Everybody around the world's gathering together for this. Why? There's something there, right? There's something being called forth. There's something that's saying, look at this. Good morning, Doreen. Understand this. Be with this. Be aware. Open up your eyes and ask yourself, how am I participating in this? What is it that I can do in this? What is important for me to understand in this? And there was a beautiful meme that my friend put up that I loved, and it was like everybody's processing what's happening in different ways. Some are educating themselves, some are protesting, getting up, speaking out. Some people are just denying that everything is going on. Some people, and everybody's doing something a little bit different. Some are speaking out, some are not speaking out. But you are a part of it. And there's a reason why this is happening. And there are uncomfortable conversations that may need to happen. There are uncomfortable maybe scenarios that we need to be aware of and look at and say, yeah, this is not comfortable. This is not comfortable to talk about. This is not comfortable to come to terms with. But sitting around our tables and talking about these issues is what is going to help heal us as a human race, and accepting that there are differences, and accepting that we didn't ask. Some people may be ashamed or may be hurt, and I just even told my mom, and it's and not even about the color of my skin, but even some of the blessings that I receive, you know, I told her there's guilt behind it sometimes. I feel guilt. Why? Because I feel so blessed. And I'm not saying that other people aren't blessed, but sometimes I'm like, I can't just go and say, oh, look at how blessed I am when there's people just suffering and, you know, in bondage. And there's this level of guilt. And for me to talk about that's important because I am human and I have guilt around that sometimes. How come I can't give this to everybody? How come I how come everybody can experience this? Can they experience it? If then why are some people not experiencing it? I mean, those are the biggest questions that I have that's led me to this journey of trying to understand, why are there people that are still suffering or starving or going through these sad, sad things of being harassed by because of the color of their skin. Like these things to me, it doesn't make sense for one. And two, I'm like, how come everybody can't experience blessings? And I'm not gonna say that it's not in their own hands, but some people when people are afraid for their life because their identified color, right? It's crazy. I mean, to me, it's like, can they and there are very successful, don't get me wrong, there are very successful people of color and all this, but they still too have a different experience of that success. God knows what they had to go through, that maybe someone who isn't of color didn't have to go through, or what doors were opened, or what they had to overcome, because it's gonna be different. I guarantee it. But there's guilt in some ways because I do feel very blessed. Now, how do I overcome the guilt and engage in society in a way that's going to be helpful? And those are the bigger questions. How do I say, okay, I have blessings and now I want to bestow blessings upon people because there is an abundance. There's an abundance of love and kindness and compassion in my heart that I can share with the world. How do I do that? How do I engage that? I do it through social media platforms, and I reach about 0.00000000001% of the population. And that probably is like more zeros, but I'm doing it the way that I know how. And that's communicating and that's speaking out and that's having you question and try to understand a little bit deeper how you fit into this entire puzzle. It's a spiritual warfare that we're having right now. Everything that's happening right now is tearing down the very thought processes in our mind. It's bringing up this, it's surfacing the subconscious mind. It's bringing up all of that dirt into our faces so that we can look at it. We can no longer run away from it. Now we're being forced to look into surrender and to look at it and say, okay, how do I fit in here? How do I deal with my issues so that I can get past myself, so that I can then step into humanity in love and kindness and compassion and recognize that the suffering that we're all in is all together. Good morning, Scott. And I found a quote right in the Kundalini. It's like this little poem, and I thought, I'd read it because I think it's kind of perfect for what I feel is happening. You're being cleansed. Okay, so you are being cleansed of everything you think you are, so you can finally become what you really are. May your journey be blessed. You are being cleansed of everything you think you are. That's beautiful because what we think we are, who are we? We think that we are our bodies. We think that we are bones, and we think that we are this human thing that has consciousness. We think that we are all the things that we think we are. We think that we're not, we don't look good. We think we look good. We think we all these things that we think we are. I'm powerful. I'm beautiful. I'm ugly. I don't, whatever messages we give ourselves, everything that we think we are. I'm terrible at life, or I'm good at life, or I'm all everything all intertwined into one. And we're starting to wake up to who we think we are. And we're starting to say, is that who we really are? Is that who I really am? Who am I? Really, who am I? And if we don't start to question ourselves, if we don't start to awaken, things will get crazier and crazier and crazier. Why? Because consciousness is rising. The consciousness, our subconscious mind, we have to cleanse the subconscious mind in order to come back to our wholeness, right? To come back to love. There's a healing process in place that's it's in play right now. So, and then it says, so that you can finally become what you really are. Well, who am I really? Who are you really? Do you know? Are you your name? Are you your job title? Are you you're so many different things, right? So who are you really? Those are the bigger questions, and they're very scary for some people because they're like, I don't know who I am. And if I don't know who I am, what does that mean? Does that mean that I disappear, that I'm nothing? Yeah, you could be nothing. And in the nothing, you allow yourself to be the everything. We've talked about the nothing and the everything before. I've talked about it on here before. When we are allow ourselves to be the nothing, we open up ourselves to everything. That means all possibility, all potentiality, all that is. But to get there, we have to undo and untangle the very thing we think we are. To get past that, we have to go through some very, very, very uncomfortable things. And right now, we're seeing it at a global scale. We're having to look at our identity, who we think we are. We're having to look at it. Who are you really? Are you a woman a Latina woman? Are you powerful? Are you scared? Are you so we're looking at all these things because right now, underneath the surface has been this subconscious mind. It's just been there. And now it is cracked open. And if we saw this at the macrocosm, which is the cosmic level, right? We would say that the cosmic level has cracked open as well. So sort of this pressure's been there and it just opened up. And now it's forcing every single person to crack wide open the subconscious mind that has been there, that has not been looked at, and has been ignored by all the busyness that we've had in our lives. And it's cracked open and it's sort of let out all of this kind of murky stuff. And now, because we, as a society, I think as a humanity, have not learned how to deal with the subconscious mind, have not learned how to deal with the skeletons in our closet, we're now being forced to look at it and to deal with it. Some people don't know how, some people do. Some people are trying to figure that out. Some people are going crazy because they don't know how. Some people are confused. Some are like, "What's going on? What's happening? I don't get it." Some people, I mean, there's all these different responses to what's happening, but really what's happening is the subconscious mind is cracked open and little pieces are spewing out. And now we're seeing it on a greater scale. And people are saying, wow, liberation and freedom from the subconscious mind, from the very judgments and trauma. Now, beyond the judgments, because there are different mirrors, and the first mirror, right, is you seeing your own reflection. The second mirror is the judgment that we place upon others. The third one is the trauma, the root of where it came from. And this is what we're actually hitting the root of where it came from. We're looking at the judgment and we're putting ourselves beyond the judgment. We're pulling ourselves beyond the judgment. We're saying, okay, I've judged this for so long, but what's really possible beyond the judgment? Because the judgment, all it does is say, I'm right, you're wrong. It's not a win win situation for anybody. It's us versus them. But there's something more for us there. There's something deeper for us to actually look at, to be with, to understand. And once we're with that information and we're aware of it, and we can say, okay, here's my comforts and discomforts in this, we can start to heal and become who we truly are. And I would say that's love. Love. That's it. Bring ourselves back to love, kindness, compassion, empathy, harmony. But we can't do that until we start to really look and to be authentically who we are in any situation that arises, right? And be okay with speaking into it. Not afraid of it, but being able to speak into it. From what? From a place of personal responsibility. Being able to understand that it's okay that we have these differences. It's okay that this existed. As long as we can look at it and we can heal together and we can say, yes, yes, this does exist. And yes, maybe this is how I participate in it. And yeah, it for some people it would be uncomfortable for them to say they have white privilege. Some people will deny that they have it. Some people won't even want to look at that, but we're being forced to look at it. Why? Because until we do, the healing doesn't start. This is part of a healing process. And it's awesome to me. It's awesome because humanity itself is starting to heal. These things happen because we're ready to heal. We're ready to revolutions are about healing. Part of it is painful though. You got to go through like the pain of it and then it heals up. And then we come to this sort of new understanding or way of engaging the world after everything is healed. Will it always exist? Probably. Probably. At least in this dimension, at least in this space and time that we live in. I don't know that it could be any different. It's possible, but because we're so dense and we're material, I think that those things will exist on this playing field always. And I think that's why history repeats itself too, because the pattern just repeats itself. We've had these things happen and surface before, but it's a great healing for all of humanity. It's an opportunity for us to heal ourselves. It's an opportunity for us to understand how we're participating in this grand design, how we're engaging in it. Awesome. So there you go. There you have it. Again, I love that quote. I just really love it. You are being cleansed of everything you think you are so you can finally become what you really are. May your journey be blessed. And with that, I bid you a beautiful morning and have a great, wonderful day. Have a fantastical day. I believe today's Thursday. That's how people would day it is because I'll get lost in the days. But have a great day. You guys are beautiful. Know that I love you. Know that you matter. Know that you're enough. Know that, that it's going to be okay and that this beautiful cleansing that we're going through, it should be exciting for you because it means that we're healing some great, great, great deep rooted subconscious hurts and pains that have been there for so long, and that we're looking to heal that so that people can transcend, right? Transcend or transform um, the very traumas that they're experiencing. Okay. So prayers and prayers to, again, my men of color, mhm, women of color, and anybody who feels like they're ostracized from society. Okay, so we love you. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.